Good morning. Our topic is respiratory system. Respiratory system consists of airways and respiratory tract. The formation and development of respiratory system occurs from the third week of gestation from the foregut wall outgrowth. The main structures of the bronchial tree starts developing from the 16th week. The first movement in the respiratory system occurs at the first term of prenatal development. Respiratory diseases. Any disorders or discomfort in the tract or in the lungs which affects the normal human respiration are referred as respiratory diseases. Some of the most common respiratory diseases in children are croup syndrome, bronchial obstruction, pneumonia, common cold, flu, etc. Let's have a look about croup syndrome.
About croup syndrome.
What is croup syndrome? Croup syndrome is an inflammation of the upper respiratory tract and is characterized by the swelling of the upper respiratory tract and the barking curve. It is also known as acute laryngotracheitis. What are the causes of the croup syndrome? Firstly, it is viruses. Viruses like parainfluenza and the adenoviruses can cause croup syndrome in the upper respiratory tract of the children and can block the airways and may create difficulty in breathing also. It can also be worsened by the bacterial infections. We will understand what are the triad of the croup syndrome. It is the barking cough, hoarseness of the throat, stridor, and inspiratory dyspnea. Let us again differentiate croup into false and true croup. False croup is also known as sublaryngitis. It occurs only at a suddenly evening and at night. And when we done the examination of false croup, only hyperemia is seen while there is no swelling of the subcutaneous tissue of the neck. While in true croup, it is diphtheria of the neck, and in it we will see there is a swelling of subcutaneous tissue.
How common is croup? Croup affects 3% of children per year, typically between the age group of 6 months to 3 years. It is more common in boys than in girls with a ratio of 1.5:1. Is croup contagious? Yes, croup is highly contagious. How croup is transmitted? If any person having any bacterial or viral infection which have croup bacteria, and if the person coughs or sneezes, the bacteria gets accumulated inside the air. And if baby breathes the air in, the bacteria gets inside the baby, and it is high possible chances that the baby may have croup syndrome. And other modes of transmission can be if the baby touches any contaminated objects containing the bacteria and virus, he or she can affected with the croup syndrome. And the treatment would be corticosteroids are used as a treatment for croup syndrome.
Respiratory examination.
Do the inspection of the respiratory system. Are you ready for the examination? Yes. Thank you. Can you do hand like this? Yes. Through this we can see the stretchness of the skin, tightness of the skin, and the roughness of the skin. It is good. Thank you. And now you can give. Okay. Through this position we can see the cyanosis of the skin and peripheral cyanosis. Can you do like this for me? Can you do this like this? Okay. This is called the finger club. In this position, if the finger has little big gap, it has normal. Can you do like this hands? Yes, thank you. Now we are checking the temperature of the hands of the patient. Okay, thank you. Now you can do like this. In this position, we will do the carbon dioxide retention. It has normal carbon dioxide retention. If it does not have normal, its hand may flip it like this. Okay, thank you. Now we will see the examination of the face, inspection of the face. Through we can see the hypoxia. Now we will see the anemia of the patient. Okay, it is normal. Now can you please open your mouth? Through this we can up your tongue. We can see the central cyanosis. Okay, now we are checking for the chest inspection. Can you please lie down? Thank you. In the chest examination, we will see the size of the chest, shape of the chest, the cyanosis of the chest. First we will check the position of the trachea. Yes, it is normal. Now we will see the crisscrossings for using the 3 to 4 fingers. Yes, it is normal. Now we will see the clavicles, position of the clavicle. Yes, it is normal.
Palpation.
Next step in physical examination is palpation of the thoracic area. Palpation of the thoracic area is basically we have to gently feel the thoracic region, and we have to look for certain points, and we have to make sure that they are normal. These points include symmetry of the area of the thoracic region. In this we have to check alignment of the ribs and alignment of the clavicular bones, and we have to check rhythm between both sides of the chest and make sure that none of the side of the chest is lagging behind, so that because it can be pathological condition. Next we have to check elasticity and resistance of the chest. Then we check for vocal frematus, and at the last we check for excursion of the chest. So when we check elasticity and resistance, we have to
We will ask the patient to lift your arms. Then we should place our hands under the axilla, and we will feel the force on the lateral sides. Then we will check on the anterior posterior side. We will feel the force.
After that, we have done check the both elasticity and resistance and make sure that there is no default or problem in that. Then we have to move to the next step, which is checking the vocal frematus. In this, we basically feel the vibrations which are produced by the movement of the air inside the airways of the lungs.
By placing on the certain points, we will listen the vibrations. First of all, on the upper part of the thorax, then on the mid thorax. Stand up. Move. Then we will ask the patient to say the blue balloon. Say blue balloon. Blue balloon. Blue balloon. Say blue balloon. Blue balloon.
After we have checked the vocal frematus, in this basically we have to make sure that the vibrations are normal, they are not increased or decreased, such as if we take certain clinical cases, in case of Krupp syndrome, the vibrations are increased, and if the vibrations are decreased, that can mean bronchial obstruction. And at the last we have to check excursion of the chest, which is the difference between the circumference of the chest after a forceful inspiration and a forceful expiration by the patient.
We will ask the patient to take a deep breath. Then we will measure with the help of the tape. By placing on the line of the nipple, we will measure the excursion. Then afterwards, we will ask the patient to stand up, move. By placing the tape on the posterior side through the nipple line, we will also measure the excursion from the posterior side.
And after we have measured the circumference of the chest in both cases after deep inhalation and deep exhalation, we have to note the difference between both of them. And in normal healthy children, the difference between the circumference after forceful inspiration and forceful expiration should be 2 to 4 centimeters, which means it is normal. And if it is less or more than that, that can mean any complications.
Percussion.
So the next step in the physical examination is percussion. There are basically two methods in percussion: comparative and topographic. Let's start with the comparative percussion on the anterior side of the chest. On the anterior side, for the comparative percussion, we will do comparative percussion on the first intercostal space, and we will go moving downwards until we can hear dullness. So the percussion we will do like this. We will compare both the sides of the chest. As here, we can note it down the cardiac dullness, and we will move downwards like this. As we hear dullness here, so we will do percussion on the next side. Okay. So let's start with the comparative percussion on the posterior side of the chest. So please stand up, turn around, and hold your hand like this. For the percussion on the posterior side, we will do percussion on the paravertebral line along the scapula like this. Normally, we can hear resonance sound, but if we hear some dullness, we can say that there may be some pathological conditions. Okay, so the next common signs and symptoms in respiratory disorders are the inflammation of lymph nodes, and are basically 4 to 5 signs and symptoms. The first one is the Arcavina. So in Arcavina symptom, we will do percussion along the anterior axillary line, and we will percute along the upper border. In generally, we should only hear the resonant sound, and if in case of pathological cases, if we hear any dullness sound along the axillary part, that means there is an inflammation of axillary lymph node. So this is basically Arcavina symptom. Second one is Filatov symptom.
In Filatov symptom, we will do percussion on the first intercostal space from lateral to medial side. In general, there may be dullness on the mammograph. But if we hear some dullness on the parasternal line, we can say that there may be an inflammation of the lymph nodes here. Like this, we can do percussion from the lateral to medial side on the first intercostal space. That, as you can see, we can hear the dullness on the parasternal line. So there may be chances of the inflammation of the lymph node here. Okay.
Third one is the bowels of philosopher.
In bowels of philosopher, as same of the Filatov symptom, we can do percussion on the second and third intercostal space. If we hear some dullness on the parasternal line, then we can say that there may be chances of inflammation of the lymph nodes.
So the next sign is symptom of Kurani. So we will do along the we will start along the 10th thoracic vertebra, and we will move. We will do percussion till T2. Normally, we will hear dullness at T2 vertebra because there is the bifurcation of the trachea. But if there is any inflammation of tracheal lymph node, we can hear near T3 or T4. We can hear any dullness. So this is basically a Kurani symptom.
So we will here do the percussion on the vertebra like this. If the dullness we can hear before the T2, then we can say that there will be inflammation of the lymph nodes. Okay. So this is the overview of the
Overall percussion technique in respiratory disorders.
Auscultation.
Now we'll move toward the auscultation. Now I will listen the chest. Could you just breathe deep breath in and out? Okay. Take. Okay. Yes. Take deep breath. Okay. So the sound that we hear here is known as normal vascular breathing. It is a sound which has a low pitches. Take deep breath. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. This sound is known as inspiratory stridor. It occurs when the patient breathes in, we listen harsh or hard sound, and it leads to upper airway obstruction. Okay, take deep breath. Breathe out. Breathe in. Okay. So here we hear the wheeziness. It occurs when patient suffers from COPD or asthma. COPD here is known as chronic obstruction pulmonary disease. Take deep breath. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Okay. So this sound here is known as Coats crackles. It occurs in the patient who suffers from pneumonia. Okay, raise your hand. Take deep breath. Release. Take deep breath. Release. Okay. So this sound here is known as spine crackles, and it is here when the patient suffers from pulmonary fibrosis. Now while I'm putting stethoscope on your chest, just repeat 99, 99. Okay? 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, say 99, 99, 99, 99, say 99.